everyone, how are you all doing? I hope you are well. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit more of a personal story because I've been getting so many messages over on Twitter and Instagram. I've recently been doing Instagram Live, so I thought why not today tell you all a story that happened recently that really surprised me. Something I didn't expect at all. And before I get into the story, I just want to say welcome to all you new subscribers. I hope you enjoy our little chats and such. But also, welcome to you if this is your first time watching this channel. You can click that subscribe button for updates, and we're going to see if we can get this channel to 70K. And I have a little hashtag if you want to use it and tell your friends all the cool stuff they're missing out on. But then when this channel reaches to 70K, I will be doing a special giveaway here on this channel. So you can keep an eye out for that if we get to that goal. We'll see if we can grow our little family, and hopefully all the newcomers are as awesome as you, because as you guys know, we have a pretty great group over here on Chelsi Madonna. Anyway, without further delay, let's get on into this story. So as a lot of you guys know, if you watched my previous coming out videos, it was really tricky to come out to my friends as gay, let alone my family and the people closest in my life. It was very, very tricky. And I had a lot of anxiety thinking about how people would react just because I had some really weird reactions in the past. So because of that, I didn't come out individually to a lot of people. I came out to my closest family, so my mom, my dad, my sister, and then my friends that live in Toronto and my closest friends from back home. So what I did, I made my coming out video, which is how I told all of you guys. But because of that, a lot of people in my family found out from that video, except my grandparents. And the story I have to tell you today is about my grandparents on my mother's side, or more specifically, my grandmother. Now, my grandparents, they don't have laptops or iPads or Wi-Fi for that matter. They don't have the internet, so they would never come across this video. Someone had to tell my grandparents. But if you have grandparents that grew up in a very rural community like mine, that is harder than it sounds. So let me give you a little backstory on my grandmother. She's probably one of the strongest women that I've met, and she definitely tells you how it is. She will let you know how she feels. She really didn't have the easiest time by any means throughout her life. My grandmother was born in a very small community in rural Newfoundland that currently, I would say, has a population of less than 100, possibly. If it's more than that, I'd definitely be surprised. She was born around the end of the Second World War, and she remembers when she was very, very little, they used to have to put garbage bags over the windows to block out any of the candlelight so that when jets flew over the island, they wouldn't see the lights and think it was something else. So that was some of her earliest memories, I remember her telling me. And also, like me, she's the oldest sibling in her family. However, she had many, many more siblings than I have. I only have one. My great-grandmother, so her mother, was actually the first woman in Newfoundland to have open heart surgery. But because of this surgery, she had to take care of all of her siblings that followed that. She had to leave school at a very young age, and she didn't get to go to university like some of her other siblings did, and she ended up staying in the smaller communities. Now, the thing about rural communities in Newfoundland back then, there were not a lot of situations where you see diversity or different cultures or different types of people, and it was very old-fashioned, I guess, in some senses. I mean, they had a hard enough time getting apples and oranges, let alone meeting other people that think differently from them. So let's flash back to that video again, shall we? When I posted that video on the internet about me coming out. Now, my grandparents are also all very faithful and very religious, and I didn't know how that was going to play in to their response or how they felt about me coming out, for example. So you can imagine I was really nervous with the idea of telling my grandmother that I was gay. I didn't know how she felt about the topic because we'd never talked about it before. And because I knew my grandmother wouldn't be afraid to say what she thought or at least express it on her face, the idea was just a little bit scary. So my mom did it. Now, I didn't ask my mom to do this, and I believe this was just equally as nerve-wracking for my mother. Thanks, Mom. But I got a message one day from my parents saying that they had talked to my grandmother on the phone after I posted my video. But you just never know how someone will react, especially someone from an older generation growing up in a smaller community, exposed to a lot less people and a lot less things. And this is why coming out is still a thing, because there's not always the reaction that you want to get, and not everyone feels the same way about it yet. And I get a lot of people asking me that, and we'll talk about that on another day as to why coming out is still an important step in an LGBTQ plus person's life. For some people, it's much more dramatic than others, but that's a whole nother topic in itself anyway. So my mother gets on the phone with my granny. I can imagine her right now, sitting in the chair in the corner in the kitchen, just silent, with Handsome, my cat, walking around, and hearing the phone ring and my grandmother answering. My grandmother says hello. My mother says, I have something to tell you about Chelsi. My grandmother said, oh my goodness, what happened? What is it? And my mother says, she's gay. And my grandmother said, oh, is that all? I thought you were going to tell me something bad happened. It was my favorite reaction after all this time, getting mixed responses and then some really wonderful responses. This one I was so nervous about, and my grandmother couldn't care less. My grandmother said, as long as she's happy, and we won't love her any less, and that just makes me emotional. Whew. But through that process, I also found out I have a gay cousin on my mom's side, which I had no idea about, like a gay second cousin. So that's exciting. So I guess the moral of the story is that people can surprise you, and they will surprise you, and that's how you find the people to keep closest in your life. Yeah. I have a fantastic family. And thank you, Mom, for coming out for me. I can't imagine that was very easy to do. There you go. That's a tip for the ages. To make your parents understand you, get them to come out to their parents. Anyway, guys, be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you like this story. I hope you're all having a lovely week. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. That shiny red subscribe button will not bite, I promise. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!